Hey everybody, it's me again, Deborah. I'm here to show you today how to do paper piecing. That's what I mentioned last week that I would be doing. I have always wanted to do a bookcase quilt or a bookshelf quilt, and it looks kind of like a bookshelf, and you make blocks that look like books and anything else that you would put on a bookcase, like a potted plant or a cup and saucer and that kind of thing. So I've always wanted to do one of those, and so now I thought I would share how to do paper piecing with you. At the same time, I would get that accomplished. Yay! So the book that I'm using to do today, I'm going to do two bowls. There's a bowl and one sitting in it, and I'll show you that in this picture here. It comes from this book, Cups and Saucers. Can you see that down there? And I'm going to be doing, where's the bowl? That set of bowls right there. They're sitting inside of each other. So that's what we're doing today. Little block. Fun. So one thing, first off, is paper piecing. If you Google it, you'll end up getting paper piecing, but you'll also get English paper piecing. And those are two totally different things. So paper piecing is sewing on the machine, stitching through the paper. English paper piecing is, I'll show you these. These little guys here are diamonds that you can English paper piece with. Can you see that? Yeah. And what you would do is you fold the fabric around them and stitch it down, and then you stitch them together to make things, okay? Like this. Oh. So anyway, that's a totally different thing. We're not doing that today. That's done by hand. So I'm going to be using this book, and first thing I always do, especially if I'm getting something out of a book, is I copy on plain paper the pattern. So there is the bowl that I'm doing, or a set of bowls that I'm doing. Yay. Okay. And so I made a copy of that on plain paper. Okay. Now I don't want to stitch through the plain paper because it's a little thick, but I like to use this because then I can put this back in my printer and I can print on paper that's thinner. And so I told you last time that I would do most of my piecing on phone book paper, which I do. I like that. But in this case, when I printed this pattern on here, it is on there, but you cannot see it. It's very difficult to see the lines. So we tossed that idea out for this particular one, and I decided to use a different paper that I had on hand, this right here. So here's the original, and then here's the one that I printed. It's very thin, I don't know if you can see my machine through there. This happens to be this stuff right here. And instead of tearing it away, you can actually wash it away. Isn't that handy? It's not cheap, but I happen to have some on hand. What I would recommend, and I put it in the links for you, is newsprint. It's blank, plain newsprint. It's pretty inexpensive. I don't happen to have any on hand at the moment. But that is what I would use, and it would look just like this when you got it printed on there. So I would save my regular paper pattern in case I wanted to do this block again for somewhere on a different shelf on the bookshelf. Now you can Google bookshelf or bookcase quilt, and you will have all kinds of things come up. Really cool patterns for bookshelves. What I'd like to do on one of my shelves is I'd like to have books that are standing up, as they were in a bookcase. And on the spines, I think I'd like to use selvage or something, or even paper piece the names of the books on the side. I thought that would be really cool. So today, I'm going to do this block. Now, to do paper piecing, the way that I do it anyway. There are a few methods. This is the most common method. You can see the pattern here, and I'll switch to, well, no, let me put it on this camera. You can see the numbers. There's a number 1 right there. It's really tiny. And a number 2 right there on that slanted piece. Okay, I'll pull that back. Okay, so 1 is here. 2 is right there. Okay, and then this would be 3 and so forth. The numbers go up. Okay, so we're going to start with number 1. And I like to use, oh, here we go, a glue stick. Now, excuse me, on this paper, number 1 in the picture is the background, or the back of the, can you see that? The back of the bookshelf. So I have chosen for my background to be, hold on, this is dark brown. So that's going to be the back of the shelves. The things are going to be sitting against that. So I need to cut a piece of the background. Let's see, flip this over. Yeah, I need to cut a piece of the background to fit this piece right here. Okay, it doesn't have to be square or anything. It just has to fit, be bigger than that piece. So let me do that. Cut a piece here. Just a big old piece like that. Whoops. Okay. Now, for the first piece, I like to use a glue stick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over to the back, and I'm going to put glue on. It's just this plain old, you know, Elmer's glue, kids glue, whatever. Not too much. Because I don't want to pin this, I just want it to stick. And I'm going to put it up in the corner and stick it down to my brown fabric. There. Okay, so it's stuck on the back. Numbers on the front, fabric on the back. Okay, now, next thing I want to do is I want to find the line between 1 and 2. Between 1, which is the brown, and 2 is going to be the top of my first crooked bowl there. Okay. And when I find that line right there, I want to fold this back on that line like that. Okay. Then I'm going to take and cut. Where did my cutter go? Here we go. Cut a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch, I guess. Right? That's the beauty of paper piecing. It doesn't have to be exact. It's fabulous. So I just get rid of that. Okay. Now, open it back up. And that angle, I think you can probably see it through here maybe. See that? That angle is there for me. Okay, like that. All right. So now, whatever I decided for the top of my bowl up here, whatever I decided I wanted to use for that, whatever fabric, that's what I'm going to get out next. So the top of that bowl was going to be this light blue here. Cut a little piece off of that. And so you want to cut a piece for that is long enough to cover this whole strip. Okay, and if you want to, you can measure that. So it's what is it? This ruler's 6 inches, so you know you need. Now, when I fold this down, yeah, it's going to be smaller, so that's fine. So 6 inches or longer. Okay, so I'll cut off Woo. All right. Now, take your piece, and you see how nice that is. I glued that on there. It's not moving. It's not going anywhere. And lay it down like this, flat. Take your piece number 2. This is number 2. Line it up on that line that you cut. All right. Now, this is the important part. You want to flip it over, and you want to sew on that line between 1 and 2. Right here. I'll show you after I sew it. I'll show you what I sewed. There we go. Okay. You want to sew right on that line. And it's okay if you go over a stitch or two. It's not a problem. Okay. Pull that out. Okay. So I have sewn that on there. All right. I sewed it on this line between, I'm going to focus, the line between 1, which is up here, and 2, which is right here. All right, so it looks like this, and you're just going to peel this back and press it. Now, you can take it to the iron, which is going to get very is going to be a pain because there's a lot of pieces to do. So instead of taking it up to the iron, you can just finger press it. One thing I did want to mention, and I found all these tools in my toolbox, and I was like, I need to share those with you guys. You can get all kinds of tools for finger pressing, right? You can get this little roller guy. I don't know what he's called for sale, but I bought him one time, and you just roll him on there. He's pretty cool. Okay. All right. Then you can get something like this. Okay. And these, you use the wooden part like this. And that's actually works probably the best out of everything I've got. This little guy is super cheap, and you can get him in the Beauty, and believe it or not, it's a face roller. That's what they call it. Weird, I know, but whatever. So, and you use it like that. And it's got 2 ends, so it's kind of handy. Okay. All of these will work. All you got to do is keep one handy to press with. Okay. So I have 1 and 2. Now I'm going to work on 3. So you don't have to glue anymore after this because everything is stitched to the paper. So I'm going to lay it down like this. I'm going to find piece number 3. I did 1, I did 2, and now I'm doing 3 right here. 3 is my bowl. That was the top of my bowl I just did in the light blue. 3 is my actual bowl. So I'm going to fold this back to the line between 2 and 3. And I'm going to fold it. And then I'm going to cut a seam allowance for that. Just a little bit bigger than a 1/4 inch will do. You know, if you're dealing with tiny little scraps, you can get away with 1/8 of an inch here. Doesn't really matter. Okay, you see how I cut that just a little bit past that fold? Okay. And then I can lay it back out like this. Take off the cat hair. Okay, and that's what I've got, the top of my bowl. So now I need a piece that will fit this right here, this area. And the bowl for that I wanted to do in this really pretty stuff. So I think that will be pretty with that light blue. Okay. So let's find out what size I need. Let's see, at its longest point, piece number 3 is 3.5, 4 inches, something like that. And then it gets more narrow, so I need at least 4 inches. We'll cut off about, whatever, 6, something like that. Okay. All right. Now, I hope I'm not going too fast. Once you get going on this, it goes really fast and it's really easy. All right, so I'm lining that up with the edge of that. They don't have to be exact, just close enough, kind of center it on there. Okay, and I'm gonna hold that whole thing. Move up in my chair here. There we go. I'm gonna hold the whole thing, flip it over, and sew on the line that I folded between 2 and 3. Okay. Right there. Okay. See that? Then I fold this back and then I press it. I use this little guy here. Now you can just finger press with your fingers, but it's a lot more crisp and flat if you do it with a tool of some sort. And I have links to the tools and things in the description, so if you are looking at one of these and you think, oh, that's cool, then just check it out. So there's my bowl and my background. I know it doesn't look like much yet. And all you're doing when you're paper piecing is you're just adding the next layer. I have a picture I want to show you, and then we'll get back to this. This is a paper pieced cat. And I'm a Alice in Wonderland fan, so everything I do has something to do with that. Anyway, I did this cat and I completely paper pieced him, and the really cool thing about it was that I could use fur, and I could use other types of fabric other than the cotton quilting fabric. I could do just all kinds of things with it. So here's the slide. Let's see if I did this right. So you can do, the reason I show you that is because you can do so many things with paper piecing that you could not do with just traditional, lay 2 pieces together and stitch them together with seam allowance. So let's get back to our bowl. So we did piece 3. We're going to do piece 4. Now, this is why I showed you the cat right here, because you see that little piece right there? That's piece 4. There is no way I could sew that by hand, just with a piece of fabric. I could not get that accurate. There's just no way. But I can do it on paper. So I'm going to fold it back just like we've been doing between 3 and 4. So I'm folding it back between 3 and 4. Fold it all the way out like this. Okay. I'm going to cut. Keep putting the rotary cutter away. I'm going to wing this. Let's see. That's close enough. All right. Okay. Now, looking at the picture, it looks like 4 is background. You see the bowl here? This is the bowl. And then this out here is the background behind the bowls, basically. So the background we decided was the dark brown. So I'll pull my little dark brown piece out, and I don't really need a whole lot of that. So just cut off a little piece. It doesn't even have to be straight. Or one of the really, really nice things about this is you don't have to really worry about bias much either. So, and for, well, I'll show you that in a minute. Okay. So I'll lay this on there. See? Lay it right there. Okay. I'm going to turn it over. And so between 3 and 4 on the line. Okay. See that? That's just a little bitty seam. There's just no way I could have done that and been accurate. Can you see that little seam? It's so tiny. Okay. So then I'm gonna roll this back. Whoops, out of the camera. Okay. Roll it back this way. Get it straight on that seam. I know the seam's small. And then we're gonna press it out. Okay. Like that. And you just keep going. So the next one would be 5, which is also background. It's over here. Now, I'm sure you would say, okay, well, why wouldn't you just do 4 and 5 together? Well, because you have this angle here. And so we're just chopping up the picture so that we can put the pieces in around it all the way around. So we're going to do 5 and then we're going to do 6. All right. So we'll do 5. Whoops. 5. So we're going to fold back between 4 and 5 on the line. All right. And then we're going to excuse me. Gonna make sure that it's all nice and flat. And then see all this stuff we're cutting off out here? Don't need that stuff anymore. See you later. Okay. Now, depending on how big piece 5 is, which you can see is just this little piece right here, this piece will fit over it just fine. So, cut the little doodad off there. I don't know what that is. Okay. So it'll fit over there just fine. So we're going to flip this over. We're going to make sure we know where piece 5 is. It's right there. So we want this one to go right there. Okay. And really the most important part of this is making sure that your pieces don't move when you flip them over. I mean, really, that's the important part. So you get it under there. Okay, now we'll go this way. Cut this side. If you have any questions, even if you're watching this after the fact and it's not live anymore, if you have any questions, just put them in the comments and I'll be sure to check those and get back with you or cover it in the next video even. Okay. So I stitched that. Okay, I stitched 5. And now I'm going to go up here and stitch 6. So I'm going to lay it back on this line between 5 and 6, wherever that line is. It's like this. Okay. Cut off the excess, leaving a seam allowance sticking out, of course, like that. Oh, I keep hitting that thing. I am so sorry. Okay, and this is going to be this corner piece. So we can just cut a piece to go. See that? I'm putting it right on that line that I cut right there. Now, when I'm doing angles like this, I try to get an idea of, can you see that? Okay. I lay it on there where it's going to be sewn down, and then I try to get an idea. If I was to press this back, which I'm going to do, will it cover the outside edge of the block as printed? And this will. Because what you don't want to do is have it too far down here and then flip it up and you have this space up here that's missing. You don't want to do that. So just kind of eyeball it, just kind of check it and see. I think that will work fine. So scoot this under here and do 6. Okay. Now, the top half of our block, believe it or not, is done. There. Okay, so since that is done, this top part, I've stitched all of this up here. I don't really need that brown part sticking out of there, so I'm gonna just leave plenty of space out past the line on the block there and just kind of cut that off. You can kind of see the bowl starting to take shape there. Isn't that cute? Okay, so now all we got to do is find, we did 6, we got to go locate 7. So this one all the way across here is 7. That's the top of the first bowl, the one that's on the bottom. So we locate the line between 7 and the top of the block here, which is this line right here, all the way across. And we're going to fold back on that line like this. Cut off the excess, leaving a seam allowance sticking out. See that? Yep. So we're going to fold our paper back out. So now you can really see the bowl. Yay! Okay. Now the next one, I wanted to do a dark blue. Like that. Yeah. So I just kind of lay that across there, make sure I've got plenty of length for that. cut it off. Okay. I'm going to lay it up here on that edge. This is where we flip it over. I'm going to hold it on both ends here. Flip it over. And I'm going to sew it on the line. Always sew on the line. Now, there we go. Okay. Even though this is wash away paper, I think I'll probably just tear it off. Save me the trouble of getting my piece wet. Okay. So it's like that. I'll fold this down. Right. Press it. Either press it at the iron, press it with my fingers, press it with a tool, whatever. Okay. So there's the top of the second bowl. Isn't that pretty? I think that's going to be really pretty. All right. So that was 7. 8 is the big bowl right there. Big piece. So this is what I wanted to use for my bowl. So I'll lay that on there. Make sure I've got plenty of length for that piece. Got it off here. Now, it's going to go like that. So I'm going to lay it on like this. On the edge. Okay. Now, hi, see what I did there? I didn't fold back and, ooh, shame on me. All right, so I need to fold this back, right? I'm telling you, I've made these mistakes a million times. All right. Okay. Now let's try it, shall we? Oh, that's much better. Okay. So this is my bowl. Yeah. Now we're going to line it up right there, like that. Then we're going to lay it over here. We're going to sew. Now, it doesn't matter which direction you put it in the machine to sew, because you're just sewing on the line, which is cool. One mistake that is common, very common, and I still do it, is to start this whole process with your very first piece by sticking it to the side with the numbers on it. And then you stitch the two pieces together, and then you realize, I can't see my numbers. They're underneath my fabric. You always, always, always want to have the printed side out here, the fabric on the other side. So that way you can see what you're doing one piece at a time. Okay. So. Okay. There we go. So that was 8. Now, the numbers on this thing go 9, 10 over here, 11, 12 over here, and they're all background pieces. See the bowl, the two bowls, and everything else is a background piece. And then this piece down here is a different color. It's actually a shelf. So since I'm doing this as a quilt, I decided ahead of time what color I wanted the background of my bookcase to be. So like when you're looking into it, all the background's going to be the same. It's going to be this dark brown. You know, it's dark because you're looking into a bookcase, dark. And then the shelf, which is this piece right here, will continue on the next block and the next block and so forth. So it looks like a shelf that all these things are sitting on, right? It's going to be a light color, this color, a lighter brown color. Okay, so I'll show you that when we get to it, and you'll see that the finished result. So, okay, so here's 8 we just did. Here's 9. We're going to do 9. 9 is background. So we fold back on the line between 8 and 9. Leave a seam allowance a little bit. Cut all of this excess off. We don't need it. Now, pieces like this, I usually hang on to them till I'm done with the whole thing, and then I'll cut them into blocks, you know, little, like this would be a 1.5 inch square. Oh my. So keep that in mind. What in the world is going on with the... I hope you can't hear that. That's very annoying. Okay. Okay, note to self, turn off notifications for next time. So, we are going to go to piece 9, which is this little triangle right here. Okay. And I've got some little pieces over here, but I don't think, see, that will fit that triangle, but I don't think I want to get that close to trying. So I think maybe I'll use like this, right? That'll work. Okay. So I'll cut that little piece off. Yeah. I want to locate 9. You know, I can see it through there, so I want to locate it, and I want to put this on there. And like I said, I want to make sure, okay, if I sew that on there, is it going to fit like that? Yes, it is. Okay. So I've got that where I want it. Flip. Make sure my pieces are still there and not rolling over or anything like that. Okay. I'm going to roll this back, press it down. Now, if you have one of those little bitty irons that you can keep by your station, that's pretty cool. You could use that. I wouldn't use it with this paper, though, because this is water-soluble paper, so you don't want to use steam on this or your paper will disappear before you're done. All right, this is 9 I just did. This is 10. I'm going to fold it on the line between 9 and 10. Cut off the excess, leaving a seam allowance. Just have to remember that. Cut off the excess. Leave a seam allowance. Okay. And I need another background piece for that, which is going to be this piece right here, this long skinny triangle. So I can see that, so I'm going to like put it there. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Yes. I can kind of see it through this paper too, so I make sure it's not moving around. Okay. If you're watching, say hi on the chat. Love to know who's out there. All right. So that was piece 10. All right. So look at there, you can see the bowls. Cool. Isn't that fun? Okay, so 11 is over here, and then 12 is down here. So we had 9 and 10 over here, 11 and 12 over here. So 11, we want to fold it back between 11 and the last piece that was stitched, like that. And same thing we did before, cut off the excess, leave a seam allowance. And just cut off a piece of this. Some more brown. Okay. So we're doing this piece right here. 11 right there. Little triangle. It's at the top here. Now I can scoot this up as long as I make sure that it's going to cover, and it comes to about right there. So I'm going to scoot it down a little bit. Fold it over, make sure I'm going to cover it. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Flip. Make sure it's laying flat. All right. And stitch on the line. Okay. What? Oh, I hope not. Okay, says YouTube is not receiving enough video. That is not a good thing. Okay, so we're going to fold back 11 to 12. I just really hope this is working. Sorry, guys. Don't know. I don't know. We'll see. So, I did 10. I did 9 and 10. Oh, sorry. Did 11. And now I'm going to do 12. 12. So, folding back like that. Cutting off the seam allowance. And I'm going to put this on hold for a second and see if there's a problem with this. Be right back. Okay, well, I'm back and it looks like it's buffering or something. Who knows? So let's hope that we get through this. I only have 2 pieces left. Come on, YouTube. All right. So I'm going to cut off the excess. Okay. And then I need to cut this piece off. It's just hanging out here in the wilderness. It's not stitched down to anything anyhow. Okay. And I think I'm going to use that piece. All right, so I'm doing piece 12 right here. And I'm going to put that down, fold it back, make sure it's going to be okay, which it is. Flip the whole thing. There we go. And stitch. Okay, we only have one more to go. I'll lay this one out. You can also use the edge of your ruler to do this. Haha. Okay. And the last piece is this bottom shelf down here, 13. So we're going to fold this back on the line between 13 and all the other stitched pieces, like that. All right. Then we're going to cut with a seam allowance. Those pieces off. Those pieces. Okay. And then we're going to use some of this. Okay. So here's my block. And the last one goes down here. This is the shelf. He goes right there. Alright. Pick him up, turn him over, flip. Here we go. Put it right there. Okay. Alright. That's it. Last one. So now we just have to square it up. Now, from what I can tell, let me look at this, make sure. This, yep. This block has, yeah, no seam allowance built in. So what we're going to do is cut 1/4 of an inch from this outside line all the way around, because that gives us our block. That gives us our seam allowance. I don't have my square ruler, so I'll just do it with this little guy. Okay. And 1/4 inch from this line. I can't wait for you to see what this looks like. Paper piecing is so addictive. Once you see what you can do with it. Okay, and a 1/4 inch. Whoops. This way. Okay. All right, you ready? Here we go. Isn't that cute? Those are my bowls.